Damien, this is a pretty good league, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think the interesting thing this year is if you actually look at the table, there's obviously kind of 4 or 5 clubs at the top who are on similar points, and there's a very big middle of the pack, which is obviously, in terms of a spectacle and exciting kind of league, it's very good because it means there's a lot of teams that can beat anyone on any given day.
And I mean, just this game today, it was such a ding-dong battle. Both teams just going ahead, and no one gave up. And that's something you've got to be so proud of today, is that resolve and that fight. An 80-minute performance, really. Yeah,
I think obviously it was one of those games. Probably wasn't the prettiest game of rugby in terms of flashy tries, etc. But it was a very interesting game. A lot of hard graft, especially for us in that first half into the wind, and then China in the second half with the same conditions. They did really play a big factor in how expansive both teams could be. So it was a lot of crash and bash. But yeah, for our point of view, I just thought the fight we showed and the willingness to stick to it for 80 minutes managed the game very well in that first half. It was just a good performance, really good clinical performance.
We saw Oscar today again, had to go off with a knock. Is he okay?
As far as I'm aware, he's okay. I think he's as much disappointed as anything else, because obviously he's had a fairly recent one, so that's something we'll have to look into, health-wise going forward with him for the next kind of short period of time, probably. But yeah, other than that, I think he's okay.
Those second half tries, we had one from Ramaz. It was a really good drive, and of course the sprint from Phil at the end of the game. Those must have been two of the best tries you've seen this season in terms of the situation that you were in.
Yeah, and also the kind of personnel as well. Ramaz has been going extremely well this year. He's been a complete revelation. In terms of his progression from when we first saw him to where he is now, and he's playing some really top end rugby. So to see him get his rewards, not just from scrums and scrum pens, but actually kind of picking and go for the middle and breaking a couple of tackles and scoring, is really pleasing. Likewise, Phil, obviously he's been in a tricky place in terms of rehab. He spent a long time rehabbing that knee, and obviously we got that right before the season. But it's just nice to see that he's got that top end pace still to kind of collect those kind of kicks through and score to win us the game.
Tom Putt came back today. His kicking was immaculate, so a good return for him.
Yeah, he missed a couple of ones at goal though, just to remember that. That's something we'll have to bring up Putty again in the week. But yeah, I mean the advantage that Putts gives you, other than his all-round play, is just he is extremely good with the boot, whether that's from hand or from the tee. So obviously he's a real vital cog in that side of our game. So yeah, he had a great game today.
Ryan on Thursday was talking about what he called a mini league below the top 4 this season. Does this kind of performance give you the confidence that you can top that, or even go even further this season? I know it's early doors. Yeah, I think so. Obviously, as you've said, you've got to stay realistic and not look too far ahead of yourselves. And our reality this season is we should be aiming to be just around that kind of conversation. And obviously, bearing in mind the kind of strides we've made and where we've come from in a short space of time, there's no reason why not. But I think that the key thing for us is just to make sure we keep putting one week ahead of the other, and if we can keep backing up performances, obviously Isha a couple of weeks back with 5 points, this week with 5 points, it gives us that kind of that belief a little bit in the squad. I think that there's some of the boys in the squad that going forward we'll start to realise just kind of how ambitious and how good we can be as a club, and it's just making sure that these performances underpin that a little bit. We spoke about it at the top of the interview about how entertaining this league is and how high scoring it is, and it's great to watch. Is it frustrating though for you when you are conceding 22 points in a game, or is it that's just how this league is?
It's always going to be frustrating, especially if you're in charge of the defence. It's always one of those things where you want to get the big fat zero in every single scoreline, but we're realistic and it's one of those things where the guys have to have a little bit of leeway. You've got to remember most of these guys, if not all of them, have a 9 to 5 job, and then they do this on top of that as well. So you can't expect too much from them. You can't be looking for that perfect kind of 5 points with 5-point win with no tries conceded. It's not going to happen. And to be honest, if we keep pulling out 5-point wins, I don't care how many we concede, to be honest.
I'm going to let you get on with some pints before we
go
home. So
Thank you very much. Thank you, mate.